Hello everyone, this is part 29 of What If Naruto Had a Proper Teacher, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Madara's eyes lit up as the blonde shinobi's body came charging at him. Senjutsu, it certainly gave you power, Hashirama. Let me see if it makes this boy a challenge. Madara drew his own blade and poured a protective layer of chakra over it. The metal wasn't designed to channel chakra like Naruto's, however for one skilled in chakra manipulation anything would do. It wouldn't allow his blade to strike harder or cut through anything it normally wouldn't, but it would protect it from being sliced clean through by the photon energy swirling through Naruto's katana. The blades met and Madara's eyes widened. The Senjutsu chakra made the boy physically stronger than himself. He skidded back and then the Kenjutsu dance began in earnest. Their speed was roughly equal with a slight edge going to Naruto, however Madara's Sharingan made up for that. He is skilled, Madara thought with grudging respect as their blades clashed a dozen times in a second. Madara could see his earlier opponent who wielded his own Susanoo jam 3 soldier pills into his mouth. Using more than one was a risk, and at the sheer amount of chakra the Susanoo required meant that there wasn't much gain from it in Madara's eyes. Dismissing it as irrelevant, Madara put it out of his mind and focused primarily on the Senjutsu user. Not only is he skilled, but he has clearly practiced against his Uchiha teammate or Hatake. He knows how to avoid being read until the final moment, contracting his muscles in a way that would allow a cut, parry or thrust. The old Uchiha grudgingly gave credit where it was due. The boy in front of him was highly skilled in Kenjutsu, and with the benefit of Senjutsu chakra he was having difficulty. It became worse when the two toads on his opponent's shoulders began using ninjutsu. A jet of water had to be dodged, which set him up for Naruto's bone-jarring two-handed cross-cut slash. Madara of course blocked, but the difference in strength pushed his blade down painfully. The blade reared up straight toward his neck and he contorted his body backwards and kicked aside the flat of the blade. Not receiving even a moment of reprieve, the other toad completed futon, shinkugyoku, wind-release vacuum bullets. Madara raised his hand and absorbed the jutsu and then quickly parried another blow. On the dance continued and a smile crept over his face. It had been too long since he had fought a real battle. But as the battle continued he began seeing the level of the skill his foe displayed. Madara was a genius, a prodigy of the Uchiha clan during the Warring States period. How was this boy who had to have seen less than 18 summers garnered this much skill? It wasn't just speed and strength but raw skill and knowledge. The thought gnawed at him, did this boy have more potential than he did? As he dodged and spun away from ninjutsu and kenjutsu strikes he found his answer. Cage Bunshin. The boy is clearly adept at using it. If he regularly fights with hundreds of clones he has the memories and experiences of the same battle from 100 different vantage points. He may be young but he probably has more actual experience than any other shinobi. That was the answer. Though it did little for him in the battle, he did not like thinking he was anything short of the ultimate pinnacle of shinobi talent. If he had used the Cage Bunshin like his Senjutsu wielding foe he would have even more skill. Tobirama team, you vex me in after the worms have fully devoured you. Madara was forced back. He could have easily used Susanoo but this Kenjutsu battle enticed him. The thin margin between victory and defeat, blade against blade, a duel for the ages, the thought of it invigorated him. So much of his existence had been as a hobbled old man defying death until appropriate pawns could be found. This was life. Madara was coming to the edge of the building though that didn't worry him in the slightest. He had 100 ways to avoid falling to the streets below. His Sharingan clearly saw Hatake use Kirigakure no Jutsu, hiding in mist technique. Another Suiten Jutsu, the man clearly enjoyed the lower chakra requirements of Suiten techniques with the water so omnipresent. The mist would block his Sharingan but not completely. His visibility was decreased to only about 15 feet, but in the fast and furious Kenjutsu duel they rarely made it further than 5 feet of distance. Madara supposed he could blow the mist away with a futon jutsu, but Naruto didn't give him much room and he was too enthralled with his duel to worry too much about it. He still had impeccable hearing and his own highly attuned chakra senses. If necessary, he could call upon his Susanoo in a fraction of a second before any strike from Kakashi could land. Blade clashed against blade noisily and Kakashi drifted from sight, sound and his ability to sense his chakra. Break. Like a well-oiled machine, Team 7 went to work. Naruto pushed Madara to the opposite edge of the roof from his two allies. Kakashi brought up the mist to shield his actions from sight. The shinobi held the record of most successful assassination missions to date. He could move without a sound and hide his chakra presence with ease. The target wasn't Madara but his allies. Kakashi struck out at the nearly all-black figure with a kunai to the brain. At the same time, Sakura sent a wave of her special kunai hurtling toward the masked Akatsuki. As soon as they were in range, they exploded, sending acid, metal shrapnel and poisonous gas into her target. Unfortunately, neither attack ended their targets. Obito used his Sharingan to make his body unaffected by the physical world. All of the gas, acid, and shrapnel were swept through him without causing him any harm outside of a sudden increase in heart rate. Black Zetsu's head exploded from the sheer force of the kunai striking into his skull, but his body was somehow able to continue functioning and struck back at Kakashi. Kakashi blocked the surprise attack from the headless Akatsuki. His speed was simply greater, which allowed him to easily block the attack. His kunai plunged into where the chest and lungs were supposed to be 3 times, but still the monstrosity kept fighting. Kakashi finally resorted to using his Sharingan to expel the remains of the rubble containing the black flames of Amaterasu that he had previously sucked away earlier in the battle. This attack struck true and the creature began screaming in agony as the flames consumed it. Break. Clever bastards. Madara was not pleased that the extension of his will had been snuffed out. Zetsu was never designed to be his equal in combat, but he wasn't a slouch. Even so, his loss wasn't the primary concern. No, the issue was being tricked by these children. Enough. He roared in fury and pulled the Susanoo back around him. The chakra construct pushed back the Senjutsu user and the toads. Madara wasn't done venting his fury. He ascended to the top of his Susanoo and unleashed Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push. The shockwave blasted apart the roof entirely, though likely all of his opponents managed to avoid it. The building teetered and began crumbling down around him. The Susanoo rode the collapsing building down. Dust, ash and debris rained down and his Sharingan instantly picked up where his opponents had landed. The Senjutsu user was around the legs of his Susanoo and was already slicing into it with the futon-empowered katana. The gashes around the ankles of the construct were deeper than any normal blade could make, thanks in part to the strength of the wielder as well as the piercing edge of the futon energy. Kakashi was sticking to the side of one of the other nearby buildings while the Uchiha was on the ground, still winded from his earlier use of Susanoo and Amaterasu. The kunoiki was hovering. Madara watched as she slowly descended down. Storage seals at the bottom of her soles were sending compressed air out in a steady stream, allowing her to control her descent. Ingenious. Madara again gave credit. The seals weren't complicated, even a novice Fuinjutsu specialist could do them, but for hundreds of years no one had thought to use them in that fashion. He looked forward to his eventual victory and unearthing all of the interesting new jutsu created since his death. It seems that this generation had something to offer the shinobi world that others had not. Madara lashed out with the blades of the Susanoo, attempting to strike down the troublesome vermin. The blades struck fast, but due to their sheer size they moved slower than what was required to cut them down. A simple kawarimi could get them clear of the attack. Meanwhile, his chakra continued to drain steadily as the futon-empowered blade cut huge swathes into the Susanoo. The others weren't idle either. Hitaki lashed out with more Sutan jutsu while the girl manipulated her kunai with chakra strings, raking dozens of them across the Susanoo at a high rate of speed. And while they didn't do any significant damage, they were still pinpricks of chakra drain that continued to drip out of his body. The next time the kunoiki used kawarimi, Madara traced her chakra signature and launched himself from the Susanoo directly at her. His speed was greater than hers, but even the fastest shinobi could not outrun the speed of thought. The kunai that danced around her on dozens of chakra strings flared to life with energy as she activated Kekai, Yonko Artery, Barrier Art, 4 parts. Madara's strike with his blade slammed into the barrier. His deadly attack wasn't powerful enough to breach the Fuinjutsu barrier. Naruto was on him in an instant, bringing his own blade to bear. Madara was still getting over the absurdity that the damned kunoiki had stopped his attack. He dodged and twisted as the katana sliced smoothly from one form to the other. The toads aided him with more elemental ninjutsu, striking out at his legs since his Fujutsu Kyuan, blocking technique absorption seal, power granted from the Rinnegan, worked best when he could catch the technique with his hands. Naruto switched to a one-handed style as Madara watched him gather chakra in his left hand. A swirling mass of chakra without any elements stabilized in his palm. Naruto pushed his blade aside with his own after a particularly powerful combination and shoved the Rasengan toward Madara's chest. Madara again contorted to avoid the blow, but that meant his blade slipped and Naruto slid his blade across Madara's arm. Madara twitched in annoyance. He couldn't believe he had actually bled from that attack. The cut was only shallow and it was already closing up, so it wouldn't impede him in any way. But he, the pinnacle of shinobi, had been blooded. The Uchiha spat in anger and attempted to gather chakra for another Shinra Tensei, almighty push, but like Nagato before him, Naruto was too fast to allow him to complete it and he was forced to block the two-prong attack of the Rasengan and the futon-laced katana. All the while his Susanoo was still being controlled by him even though he was not in direct contact. The blades continued to strike out at Kakashi, the Uchiha and the Kunoichi to little effect. Madara finally found some breathing space and was able to Kawarimi back toward his Susanoo and let the cold chakra embrace him as he once again entered it. They want to see power. Let them deal with this. He pushed himself away from the Susanoo in the opposite direction of the shinobi squad fighting him to a standstill. Once he had sufficient separation, he used Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star. His chakra surged out from the Susanoo and his body toward the heavens to pull down a meteorite. The clouds parted as the gargantuan rock was pulled down to the earth. Madara smiled as it drew closer. What were these pests going to do? Would they run or try to stop it with their jutsu? Break. Kakashi signaled his team to retreat on Naruto. He, Sakura and Sasuke instantly made their way to Naruto. Seconds before the massive rock crashed into a megacore, Naruto teleported them all in an orange flashback to Tsunade's camp. Sakura instantly threw out more of her kunai to use a double-layered kekai, Yonko artery, barrier art, 4 parts, to protect the camp. The earth heaved as the meteorite crashed into it. The land for hundreds of miles would have been utterly devastated if not for the fact that part of the technique pulled the rock closer to the earth slower than gravity would normally pull something down. Even so, huge sections of a megacore were completely leveled by the thunderous impact. A massive wave of debris and concussive wind slammed into the barrier before dispersing. Tsunade's jaw dropped as she finished with the young Hyuga. She had done what she could, but likely the promising young shinobi would be paralyzed for life. Kakashi instantly deactivated his Sharingan and turned to Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, please give Sasuke as much chakra as you can. Our enemy will have seen our chakra signatures head this way and will no doubt pursue us. We will intercept him before he arrives and attacks this location. Even so, they should begin evacuating the area. Naruto fell to his knees panting as the senjutsu energy evaporated. He had used a massive amount of chakra today. Not just his own chakra but also Biju chakra and nature chakra. His body was a mass of pain as his overtaxed chakra coils threatened to break down completely. Now more than ever he was grateful for the Uzumaki blood that flowed in his veins. Tsunade didn't waste time and began sending her chakra into Sasuke, thereby transferring it. Kakashi, what are you fighting out there? Madara Uchiha resurrected. The amount of chakra he possesses dwarfs even that of Naruto. He is skilled, strong, fast and has a dojutsu with a variety of powers both from the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. Victory is not assured. Madara, Tsunade whispered. To her credit, her chakra never faltered as she revitalized Sasuke. Kakashi looked to Naruto. Can you call upon the Kyuubi's chakra again? Naruto struggled to his feet. Yes. He grit his teeth and felt a wave of hate-filled chakra fill his coils. Using it, he created 100 clones and sent them running forward to try to slow down Madara's inevitable advance. He cut off the flow of chakra and fell to the ground again. Tsunade cut off the chakra going toward Sasuke and reached out and did a diagnostic jutsu on Naruto. Naruto, this isn't good. I can't do to you what I'm doing for Sasuke. Another type of chakra in your coils would just make things worse. If you keep fighting, your chakra coils could burn themselves out completely. Quote. Naruto's face hardened. If that's what it takes. Tsunade stared at the boy for a moment before Kakashi gently pushed her towards Sasuke again. She continued her chakra transfer while she started the conversation again. Naruto, you've done more than enough. I'll take your place with the team and bring down my grandfather's old enemy. Kakashi interjected. No. While you are strong, Madara is fast and all of us have something that will protect us. Naruto is the fastest among us, but without Sage Mode or a Biju Chakra cloak he can't keep up. I have the Hachiman, Sasuke has his Susanoo and Sakura has her Fuinjutsu. Bullshit, Kakashi. I've been fighting since you were in diapers. And you're an S-ranked kunoichi who has seen hundreds of battles. But I have seen you fight. Unless you have something else up your sleeves, you are better off leading the rest of our force away from here. Despite her anger, Tsunade continued the steady flow of chakra into Sasuke, who was starting to feel much better now that his reserves were being replenished. She stared at Kakashi. I'm not leading them out of here. I will stay and make sure I can heal you after you win this battle. This isn't up for discussion. Kakashi relented and turned toward Naruto. The clones have engaged him. He doesn't seem to be in a hurry, so we have some more time. This gave Tsunade time to top off Kakashi and Sakura as well. Sakura looked thoughtfully at the seal that was beginning to fade from Tsunade's forehead. No doubt she was looking at how to make a Fuinjutsu version at some later date. Tsunade glanced worriedly over at Naruto several times but refrained from saying anything else. Meanwhile, the evacuation of the rest of the shinobi was underway. Those who couldn't walk like Neji were carefully carried away. Kakashi looked at his 3 students. They had all fulfilled their potential. This could be our final battle. I'm not one for speeches, so I'll make this quick. Naruto, you are ready to be the Hokage. You have the skill, the drive, the power and the knowledge needed to become greater than all of the others. But more importantly, you have the will to fight, to endure anything in order to protect your village. I have never been prouder of you. He turned to Sasuke. You have already achieved your dream. Regardless of what happens here, the Uchiha line will continue and flourish. I told you once long ago I could help you achieve your ambitions, and I've made good on that promise. You aren't even 20 yet, don't get complacent. Your team will still need you even after Naruto becomes the Hokage. And finally he turned to Sakura. You were a civilian girl with pathetic stamina and chakra reserves. But you have proven you don't need to be a chakra powerhouse to turn the tide of battle. You are changing the entire shinobi world with your Fuinjutsu, and you are currently the best genjutsu user in Konoha. Naruto will need your mind. All 3 of his students looked at him, respect and conviction shining in their eyes. Naruto cleared his throat and looked at his sensei. There is no need for speeches, sensei. None of us are going to die, believe it. Kakashi gave him an eye smile. You know life doesn't work that way, Naruto. You can't just make a promise and expect to win the day through sheer drive and determination. This is Madara Uchiha. Life is too short for regrets. We know what we have to do to defeat Madara. Spend these last few minutes saying what may be the last words we speak to each other. Sasuke went first. Naruto, you are my brother. Sakura, you are my sister. What I said at my wedding will be forever true. You are more important to me than anything. Naruto snorted. Man, you need a life. Sasuke grinned. There were few things that made him smile after Itachi destroyed his family, but Team 7 was one of them. Sakura put her hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Thank you for being there for me and for pointing me in the right direction. You aren't going anywhere if I have anything to say about it, but if the worst should occur, we will make sure the Uchiha clan takes its place once again in Konoha. Naruto added. You are my brother in all the ways it matters. You're still a team, but you're our team. Without words needing to be said, Kakashi, Sasuke and Tsunade gave the couple some time to speak to each other. Tsunade whispered to Kakashi, is there a way you can win without Naruto taxing his chakra coils? Kakashi shook his head. Unlikely. I regret I did not have the time to unlock more of the Hachiman. Team 7 will need each of us to bring him down. There is no guarantee of success, Tsunade-sama. If we fall, you need to bring back word to Konoha to prepare. If your team can't do it, what hope do you think we have? Kakashi made a dismissive sound. Where there is life, there is hope. You, Jiraiya, Danzo, both generations of Ino Shikacho and Rock Lee will have to carry on. We are not the only strength Konoha has. I'm not suggesting that it would be easy or even likely that you would prevail, however with foreknowledge and your observation of his abilities, Shikaku may be able to put something together. The point is you need to go if we fall and not foolishly attack. Tsunade wasn't happy with Kakashi ordering her around, again, but it would be foolish to ignore the man's counsel. He deserved his S-ranked standing and he had trained a team that had surpassed her own legendary one. No one would with any sort of intelligence could doubt that Kakashi was a genius. It galled her that she wouldn't be directly involved in the fight but she had not been there to see Madara. Fine Hatake. You've made your point. But if I ever find out that you're doing this because Jiraiya told you to keep me out of the fight, I'm going to be your worst nightmare. Kakashi graced her with an eye smile. If he died here he was content in knowing he had done everything possible to prepare the next generation. He saw Naruto kiss Sakura for a long moment and then watched as Naruto's face hardened. He'll be here soon. We should advance to give the rest of our shinobi more time to get away from any more large-scale jutsu. Naruto advised Kakashi. Kakashi nodded his head and gave his orders. It was time to fight Madara Uchiha. Kankuro coughed up blood. He was surprised to find himself alive after one of the monsters had plucked a kami-damned rock from the sky. From the sky. Somehow all of his atrocious luck had granted him a sliver of good luck in recompense. He had slammed into a building and the building had collapsed on him, but he lay under a supporting pillar that somehow was still standing. It had partially shielded him partially. He groaned. A meteorite. From the sky. From the sky. Madara saw the first of the clones coming. Without the power and speed advantage of Senjutsu, it was relatively easy for him to deal with them. Relatively easy, but not without its dangers. They were still incredibly fast and skilled. They were also varied in their attacks. Some used Kenjutsu while others let loose with Futon Jutsu from multiple directions, so he simply couldn't absorb all of the attacks. Nonetheless, his skill, power and ability made it trivial to beat them. Madara had time to think about the previous encounter with this team. They were skilled, but that alone wasn't the issue. They also worked in tandem impressively. He would call it weakness to rely on teamwork if not for its effectiveness. I will have to watch for their tricks. Perhaps it is time to see how effective Hashirama's Mokuton would release is against these Konoha descendants. Naruto's body was racked with pain. Every time he used any chakra his coils burned in protest. As a trained shinobi he could push away pain, but even that had its limits. Mental tricks could help, and there had been a few interesting treatises on how to block out pain, though Naruto found them to be more theory-driven than actually useful in the field. Mediating into a peaceful state was not a luxury he had when every sense had to be hyper-aware in order to survive. Demonic chakra filled him as Madara approached. There were a number of contingency plans when dealing with a foe like this. Kakashi pulsed his chakra, letting his team know which he had chosen. Naruto created a number of clones and had them fan out around Madara at a considerable distance. He didn't want area effect jutsu taking him out just yet. The pain was rising through his body, but by sheer force of will he endured it and raced forward toward the enemy. On either side of him his team ran. He took point as Kakashi was not using the Hachiman just yet, and with the Biju cloak around him he was the fastest. Madara's eyes flashed and his hands moved in a blur. The earth rumbled and Naruto made ready to spring away from any sort of Doton Jutsu. However, instead of the earth spring forth spears or an earthen dragon roaring to life, something else occurred. Thick tree trunks rose and coiled around the earth. The terrain was not suited for this sort of plant life, but it did not deter the Uchiha's jutsu. The Konoha team easily avoided the sprouting trees as they raced toward Madara. Madara allowed his trees to bloom for a moment before lashing out with a Shinra Tensei, almighty push. The wave of power had been centered on Naruto, who darted to the side in a burst of speed, managing to avoid it but taking him off course for a moment or two before he could reorient himself on Madara. As the trees continued to bloom, Naruto watched as Madara once more used a Mokuton-based jutsu. Madara used Mokuton, Kajukai Korin, would release, advent of a world of flowering trees, to create blooming flowers from the wooden branches. They instantly released pollen that Naruto realized would be bad to inhale. He wasn't too worried about his team with their Fuinjutsu suits being able to filter the air. He had no such protection, however he could just hold his breath for now. Naruto closed in only for Madara to wrap the chakra of a Susanoo around him. His team responded instantly to the formation. Kakashi let loose with a Futon, Daytopper, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough, while Sasuke added Kaiten, Gunkyu, Fire Release, Great Blaze Ball. The superheated air all but melted the trees around Madara to ash. The great Susanoo was slammed by a raging holocaust of burning air. The last time a Susanoo had faced such a viciously powerful combination was when Naruto and Sasuke fought Itachi. In that fight Itachi had the Yata mirror which protected the Susanoo from the killing heat. Here Madara had no such weapon. The warping heat burned through the Susanoo and Madara had to quickly put out his hands and absorb the destructive Kaiten chakra. And in that moment Naruto closed the last bit of the distance. His demon-empowered Rasengan roared as he slammed it toward the Uchiha's legs. Madara narrowly avoided its deadly power but was not quite fast enough to avoid the aftereffects of the jutsu. He was rocked back and Naruto raced into close combat with him. Madara blocked a succession of attacks with his arms and felt the chakra emanating from Naruto burn his skin. His superior healing was sufficient to repair any damage, but an all-out brawl in close quarters with a foe using this toxic chakra wasn't a winning proposition with his allies closing in. Madara constructed another Susanoo in a blink of an eye and Naruto could do little more than tear into it somewhat. His Susanoo was blasted by waves of detonations and Sutan-based jutsu as Naruto continued to try to shred Madara's chakra armor. The battle raged on and the lack of air was becoming an issue for Naruto. To counter it he used an overcharged futon, repusho, wind release, gale palm, to clear away the pollen. Madara's eyes flashed as he let loose with a Kaiten jutsu. Now the deadly combination of futon and Kaiten was turned onto Naruto. The deadly flames could be dangerous even surrounded with the Nine Tails cloak of malevolent chakra. Sasuke had also seen the formation of both jutsu and had quickly countered with Sutan, Surei, water release, water wall, to protect his teammate. The fires of Madara enhanced by Naruto's own gale palm burnt straight through its elemental counter. The fiery rage lost much of its potency and Naruto was able to weather the storm and then take several breaths of pollen-free air. The revived Uchiha laid waste to the landscape with slashes from his Susanoo but all of his targets continued to avoid the massive weapons. Naruto could see the battle descend into an odd stalemate. His opponent's Susanoo reformed after every attack but it took some concentration and Madara was unable to focus long enough on any one of them to bring him down. The Susanoo was an incredible defensive ability but its sheer size made it ungainly at striking down single targets. Naruto could feel his body weakening from the chakra roiling through his battered coils and his preternatural senses told him that Madara was not being drained of chakra at a similar rate. His regenerative capabilities were keeping up. If they were to win this battle something had to change. He signaled his team and they swooped into action. Break. Sakura saw the signal. It was show time. Their rapid response team had been formed for numerous reasons and one of the main ones was to put together a force specifically to hunt down Itachi Uchiha. That had meant studying the Sharingan, its weaknesses and strengths. A Sharingan opponent was deeply problematic for someone like Sakura. Her genjutsu was unparalleled in Konoha, however those eyes could see right through them. Her attempt at using Kokuangyo no Jutsu, Infinite Darkness technique, the one genjutsu she knew that could work on those eyes, had failed. Madara's advanced form had ripped it apart with contempt. Sakura had learned something interesting about the Sharingan in her testing with Sasuke and Kakashi. A Sharingan did not function when the eye was closed. It had dawned on her that this was why Kakashi wore his headband over his eye. Unlike a normal Uchiha he could not shut off his Sharingan at will, but when his eye was closed the Sharingan ceased to pull chakra from his body. All of this meant is that if you could cause a Sharingan wielder to close their eyes they would become susceptible to genjutsu. And so Sakura had created a new ninjutsu that was similar to Raiten, Reigen Raikotsu, lightning release, lightning illusion flash of light pillar. Her hand seals were utterly foreign to Madara since it was not the same jutsu, merely something similar without the lightning element, instead it simply summoned forth a blinding lighting that flashed out into the battlefield. Because Sakura was behind her teammates they did not suffer the ill effects of her Hikari Bakuhatsu, light blast. The searing light did not harm the Sharingan but the intuitive reaction to bright light was to blink, and in that moment the Sharingan was deactivated. This did not bring down the Susanoo however it did allow for a momentary opportunity for Sakura to send a tendril of her own chakra into Madara's and capture him in a genjutsu. Her touch was light, so very light because it could be shattered in a moment. In that small moment her genjutsu fooled Madara's senses to make him believe his eye had already snapped open. Instead, his eye was still firmly shut, and seeing that Madara had not detected the foreign chakra intrusion, Sakura expanded the illusion to perfectly capture the battlefield as it was. Sakura knew it wouldn't last for long. Madara was too in tune with his own chakra and his other senses, but a moment was all that was needed. Kakashi gathered his chakra and opened the gates all the way up to Kaiman, Gate of Joy. Simultaneously he raced forward with his Reikiri sparking madly. Sasuke let loose with Amaterasu, melting the Susanoo away with black flames. Naruto's blade screamed toward Madara's head. Sakura knew the Uchiha could sense all of this with everything outside of his eyesight, however she shifted his perceptions just enough so when he went to block the strike he would miss completely. The confusion of his chakra sense, hearing and instincts all being at war with his vaunted eyesight revealed the truth of the genjutsu. He shattered it, but Naruto was already too close. Madara threw his head back and intercepted the blade with his arm. The blade tore through Madara's arm, slowing only fractionally as it sheared through skin, muscle and bone. That tiny delay, however, allowed him to avoid decapitation and instead cut a gash through his jaw. Madara's eyes sparked with rage as he used his other arm to blast Naruto away with Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push. Naruto, too close and too committed to his stroke, could not avoid the wide area blast. He crossed his arms and roared as he pumped more of the fox's chakra into his body. Kakashi slammed home his Reikiri even as Madara was desperately trying to re-summon the Susanoo. It sliced through it, such was the velocity and potency of the chakra. Madara, already falling backwards, could do little more than to twist his body so that instead of pulping his heart it only slammed through his lung. Kakashi's other hand drew back to cut down with a kunai and Sakura dared to hope that the fight was over. However, Madara's knee blocked the downward stroke and pushed Kakashi away. Madara was suddenly surrounded by wood as he used Mokuton, Mokuryu no Jutsu, wood release, wood dragon technique. Sasuke's Chidori Senbon slammed into the chakra-infused wood with little effect. Naruto crashed into the ground, his Biju cloak flickering weakly, and Sakura felt her heart clench inside of her chest. Kakashi lashed out with a Kaiten Jutsu attempting to burn away the wood, again to no effect. Sasuke let loose with his Susanoo and slashed down onto the wood, finally making a dent. The wood revealed itself to be the shape of a dragon, and as it uncoiled it roared and wrapped itself around Sasuke's Susanoo. Madara laughed as Sakura and her team watched. The bloody hole in his chest was closing, and his arm, it was regrowing. Their implacable enemy was once more wrapped within the safety of his fully armored Susanoo. Kakashi let go of the Hachiman and looked wearily on while Sasuke struggled against the Mokuton-powered jutsu. You almost killed me, you bastards. But I won't fall for that wretched trick a second time. Sakura took stock of their options. This wasn't good. She had plenty of explosive tags left, however they weren't going to crack a Susanoo. She had a few other tricks, including her highest yield explosive that might do it, but that was a last resort. Genjutsu was off the table. Kakashi probably couldn't keep using the Hachiman. He had maybe one use left. Sasuke still had chakra left, but he was struggling with this new jutsu Madara had revealed. And Naruto, the agony on her lover's face was awful. She watched as he got to his knees and then collapsed. Instantly she raced to his side, ready to deflect any attack Madara may use with her Fuinjutsu barriers. Break. Naruto felt his chakra coils trying to incinerate him from the inside. He didn't need to be a Hyuga to know exactly where all 361 Tenketsu points were located within him. Each one was a sharp spike of torturous sensation. His will was strong, and in him burned the will of fire. He had to fight, he had to keep his team safe, he had to. He collapsed in reality and within his mind. Within his mind he found himself in a sewer before a great cage that contained the Kyuubi. Boy, you cannot channel any more of my power. You are done. Naruto shook his head. Bullshit, I can do this. You cannot. Another moment of my chakra and your coils will self-destruct, killing you. And then you will die, and so will your companions. And why do you care, Fox? You'll finally be free, won't you? The fox's 9 tails swished angrily. Ignorant fool. When you die, so will I. Having my essence scattered is painful beyond anything you humans can sense. Even worse is when I do reform, I will be a savage beast until my mind can fully reform. In that time I will be easy pickings for Madara. Naruto paused. He could sense no deception. You brought me here for a reason. What is it? Break the seal, release me. I will help your companions destroy the Uchiha. Naruto stared at the biju. His well-trained mind quickly filtering through possible scenarios and what the outcomes would be. He would die. No one survived the extraction of their biju. Naruto would regret that, of course, however he was more concerned about his team. If I do this, will you give me your word that you will not harm my team? The fox snorted. I will not harm your precious humans unless they come looking for me. I only want to destroy the filth that dominated my mind and enslaved me like a common creature. Beyond that, I will not harm your pathetic village as long as they leave me alone. Naruto again though through the possibilities. How will you avoid his Sharingan? I'll keep my eyes closed. I will not fall for his tricks again. Naruto sighed heavily and walked toward the seal. He had faith in his team, but his vast knowledge that came from reading every post-battle account he could get his hands on, his own personal experience and his deep understanding of his team's abilities told him that they were losing the fight with Madara. They needed the demon fox's help. With regret but no uncertainty he approached the cage and ripped the seal off. Break. Madara had laughed at them after nearing being killed. That was a defensive mechanism. Internally he was appalled at how close he had come to death. The genjutsu trickery was completely unexpected. Who would have thought that he, and Uchiha, would have almost been laid low by a genjutsu? The knitting of his flesh, part of his chakra network and an entire arm had also been taxing on his chakra. He had plenty of reserves left and it was recuperating, but he had his limits. Even the Rinnegan could be pushed too far. He resolved to be more careful as he watched his wooden dragon squeeze the younger Uchiha's Susanoo. Madara watched as Hatake speared the dragon in the head with another one of his deadly Raten assassination jutsu. Powerful enough to pierce a hastily formed Susanoo, even Hashirama's dragon cannot withstand it if he strikes at the right place. Madara had not been idle and had used the lull to sweep his blades down toward the prone form of what he considered his most dangerous foe. The Kunoichi had used her Fuinjutsu again to shield herself and the Jinchuriki. Her barrier seals were strong and they displaced much of the kinetic force of his blows, but it was only a matter of time before they shattered. He smiled as his Susanoo continued its work while he added another dimension to the assault by using Doton, Dosekiru, Earth Style, Earth Dragon, to rise up from the ground in an attempt to swallow whole the infuriating Fuinjutsu specialist. Another seal network was hastily slapped onto the earth and his Sharingan instantly read it as a cohesive seal designed to harden the earth around her. His earthen dragon was stymied by the super-hardened ground, held together by the Fuinjutsu seal's chakra. Madara directed it to arise from the earth from the other side, forcing her to defend from another avenue of assault with those barriers. Madara had to pause in his attack with his Susanoo as her two teammates turned toward him. Again Susanoo clashed with Susanoo and again Madara's proved superior. Hatake attempted to even the odds with a barrage of Sutenjutsu, but it was not enough and the younger Uchiha was driven back. It was made worse when Madara grinned and unleashed a flurry of jutsu. Mokuton, Mokuryu no Jutsu, Wood Release, Wood Dragon Technique, Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Jutsu, and Doton, Goremu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Earth Golem Technique, were all used in quick succession. Chakra was burned in waves as he brought forth a towering golem, another chakra-eating wooden dragon and a water dragon for good measure. The opposing Susanoo collapsed from all of the various assaults on it instead of burning chakra to retain its form. His two opponents scattered and split the attention of the massive chakra creations. Madara again laughed, this time in relief. These foes had been powerful beyond his dreams, but now the battle was coming to a close. As he thought this, a wave of malevolent chakra seeped into the battlefield. One moment the Kunoichi was shielding herself from his Doton dragon and the next she and the dragon were pushed away by a wave of demonic chakra. In another instant Madara was shocked to see the Kyuubi emerge in a flash from the Senjutsu user's body. His Sharingan instantly picked up 1,000 details. The Kyuubi was wisely keeping his eyes closed. Raw hatred and anger radiated from the creature as it charged directly for him. His Susanoo lashed out at the titanic beast, blades slashing horizontally. The nine-tailed fox accepted the blow on one paw and let its weight smash into the Susanoo with explosive force. Madara felt the Susanoo flicker but poured more of his chakra into it. Beast, you will soon be enslaved again. The Kyuubi roared and formed a Biju Dharma, tailed beast ball, faster than Madara had thought possible. He pushed forward from his Susanoo and activated his Rinnegan ability to absorb chakra. The destructive energies that the Kyuubi had brought to bear would have cut a swath of destruction through his Susanoo, but now it had all been absorbed. The Kyuubi gave another cry of rage as Madara pushed the beast back and off balance with his Susanoo while rapidly using Mokuton, Hotei no Jutsu, wood-style cloth sack technique. 4 hands, each nearly as large as the gigantic fox, rose from the ground and lashed out attempting to capture it. The fox, sensing the danger, attempted to leap away, but one hand caught it by 2 tails and pinned it to the ground. Madara's grin started to form but wasn't fully made yet when a lance of Raten energy cut down 2 fingers of the giant wooden hand, allowing the 9-tailed fox to escape his grasp. You taught your village well, Hashirama. They even use teamwork when working with a raging Biju. But it wasn't going to be enough. Kakashi had no time to mourn Naruto's death. The fact that the Kyuubi had been released made it a conscious decision by Naruto. If he had simply died, the Biju would have been dispersed. Kakashi would remain wary, but it was clear that the Chakra Beast had made some sort of arrangement with Naruto for this set of events to take place. Madara's combination of the Rinnegan and the Shodai's techniques is even greater than the greatest of all of the Biju. The Kyuubi was by far the most powerful of all of the tailed beasts. The village had truly thought they were doomed when it had appeared out of nowhere. The Sandaime and the Yondaime together could not have beaten it in direct battle without the Shiki Fujin, dead demon-consuming seal. Kakashi watched Sasuke free the Kyuubi from the massive hands that had risen from the earth. As a result of that distraction, Sasuke was slammed into the ground by the watery dragon. The Fuinjutsu suit seals flared and he saw the residual force bruise ribs and flesh. Fortunately, it was not a mortal or too debilitating of a wound. Sakura's Fuinjutsu seals had once again proven vital. Kakashi finished the second wooden dragon off only to watch Madara unleash Shinra Tensei, almighty push, striking the Kyuubi dead center. The mighty Biju skidded across the ground, tearing gashes 20 feet deep as he was forced back 1,000 feet from the blast. Kakashi swept around and saw Sakura's wounded form next to Naruto's body. The sudden emergence of the Kyuubi had shredded her own Fuinjutsu suit seals and she too was not unscathed. Soon it needs to get away from here. We are going to lose. Kakashi wasn't a pessimist, but he was a realist. All of them were running low on chakra, stamina and their bag of tricks. Their best shot had come when Sakura had managed to snare Madara in her genjutsu and he had survived. He was about to signal Sakura and Sasuke to flee while he and the Kyuubi fought on when he forced himself to check for genjutsu. What his eyes were seeing wasn't possible. Chakra was blooming inside of Naruto. Naruto had unleashed the Kyuubi. The jail cell and the sewer had been shattered in an instant and he could feel his life force ebb. Deep within his mindscape he sensed his heart stop beating and his lungs stop moving. His last thoughts were of Sakura and right before his mental eyelids shut never to open again a yellow flash streaked into view. Father? He asked in a confused fashion. Thoughts swam across his mind in haze. Was he in the afterlife? Sure enough, his mother was there too. But why did he still feel so weak? The man, Minato Namikaze, smiled at his son. Naruto, there isn't much time. I am the last vestige of chakra that I had imbued into you when I sealed the Kyuubi. I was here as a failsafe to prevent the release of the Kyuubi, however I sensed what was happening and allowed you to free it. A woman appeared next to him, her hair a deep shade of red. And some of my chakra is within you too, when it came time for you to fully master the demon fox inside of you. That purpose is gone, but there is something else we can give you. Naruto looked at his parents and wanted to say 100 things at the same time. He opened his mouth to speak, but Minato raised his hand. There isn't any time. Our chakra will be used to restart your heart and chakra network. You will still be on the brink of death, however. Kushina added, you're an Uzumaki, so you can survive even the expulsion of your Biju. Naruto shook his head. I need to do more than survive. I need to fight. It's Madara Uchiha out there fighting my team. Minato nodded sadly. You were saved from death, but your coils are still in no shape to use chakra. Naruto clenched his jaw in frustration, but his father continued. You still have senjutsu available to you. Then there isn't any time to waste. Kushina and Minato both smiled proudly. We are proud of you. Naruto nodded firmly and opened his eyes back within the real world. Every part of his body hurt, his thoughts were still fuzzy, likely due to the lack of blood to his brain, but his heart was beating again. He took a deep breath, Thankful that there was no more pollen in the air thanks to the destructive jutsu, Biju rampage and ocular powers that had been unleashed since Madara first used that ability. He turned to Sakura, who quivered for a moment. He knew that her emotions were roiling right now, but as Kakashi had taught them, she had forced them aside since they were in the middle of battle. He closed his eyes again and let nature chakra flow into him. To his amazement, it happened so much easier and swifter than it had previously. Ah, that bastard fox, he must have made it twice as difficult to do this properly. It took only a few moments for his body to jump into sage mode, and when he opened his eyes again they were toad-like. His hands swiftly formed the necessary seals to summon Shima and Fukasaku. Fukasaku instantly spotted the difference. You have mastered sage mode, how? Ah. It was quite hard to miss a massive Biju roaring and raging. No time for explanations. I'm running almost purely on natural energy right now and don't know how long I have. Both Pa and Ma sensed the truth of his words and readied themselves for what they hoped would be the final battle with Madara. Break. Madara was expending chakra at an unsustainable rate. The Kyuubi had learned from its previous encounter with him and would not open his eyes. The Biju had incredible senses, which meant that regardless of its lack of sight it still posed a difficult problem. He had tried to use Mokuton to tame the beast, but each time the Kyuubi was aided by his Konoha opponents. It was made all the worse when the Jinchuriki somehow rose back up from the dead to continue the fight, this time displaying a mastery of senjutsu that rivaled Hashirama's. Madara lashed out with jutsu after jutsu as he attempted to strike down one of his foes, but each of them proved adept at defense. Going after the kunoiki sent him into fuinjutsu barriers he could have breached in time, but not while being constantly attacked. Going after the younger Uchiha was difficult, as well as his foe's Sharingan anticipated all attacks and had his Susanoo to fall back on, though at this point chakra depletion meant he couldn't do it much longer. Hatake proved every bit as skillful as his reputation implied. Madara was stymied in every direction. Jutsu flashed through the air, the two toads lending their powerful ninjutsu to the mix. It was too much all at once. He could instantly decipher every angle of attack, and yet the sheer power of the Biju combined with the flexibility and teamwork of his foes was too much. No, I will not be defeated like this. Madara had his Susanoo up, but in a flash a hole was created by Kakashi's ocular jutsu. The black fires of Amaterasu raged around the outside of the Susanoo while Naruto slashed inward with his blade. Madara parried the blow and attempted to recreate the Susanoo, but his own now depleted chakra reserves made it sluggish. Naruto bared his teeth and slammed a kunai into his shoulder. Normally he wouldn't worry about such a minor issue. There was nothing vital in the shoulder after all. This kunai, however, was riddled with fuinjutsu seals, and when he saw Naruto push away he knew what was about to happen. The explosion was fantastical. It ripped into him with the yield of 1,000 explosive seals. It completely ripped his arm free with the explosive concussive force. He crashed into the ground barely alive. Madara would only need seconds to heal the damage and continue fighting. The arm would take longer, but not too long. However, he was facing the legendary Team 7. You never stopped fighting until you were sure the enemy was down. Madara felt earth and spikes enter his body from a Doton Jutsu right as a futon-empowered katana sliced through his neck. Break. Team 7 was wary. They had defeated Madara and that was a huge relief. However, the Kyuubi was alive and well, and none knew how it would react. They watched as the massive chakra beast smashed Madara Uchiha's skull and erased from existence the Rinnegan. Do not attempt to chain me again, and I will leave your puny village alone. And with that the tailed beast left the ruined battlefield. Naruto smiled. They had done it. A wave of weakness fell over him as his chakra coils faltered. Natural chakra fled his body and he collapsed to the ground. Sakura was next to him an instant. She felt for a pulse and found none. No. Come back, Naruto, you came back once, you can do it again. Obito Uchiha appeared and the three remaining members of Team 7 turned as one, ready to fight. The figure in the mask laughed. Kakashi, always you Kakashi. You always got in the way, always ruined everything. My dreams, be they small or large, you fought them. I hate you, but now I see that this world cannot be saved. Madara was arrogant, but he was the only one who had the power to bring the world to heal and create the perfect paradise that I longed for. Team 7 typically didn't wait for their opponents to speak this long, but all of them were exhausted, and if the enemy chose to give them information, who were they to interrupt? My dream is lost. Damn you Kakashi, damn you. The man drew a kunai. Before Team 7 could strike, he slammed the kunai home into his own skull, killing himself instantly. Kakashi pried off the mask and was surprised to see the face of Obito. Unexpected, but the man proved to be a traitor. He did us a favor by killing himself. Kakashi looked up and saw Tsunade rushing toward them. She would try to save Naruto, but his Sharingan said it was too late. He didn't know how Naruto had survived the first time, but he doubted it would happen again. You would have been the greatest and strongest Hokage of all time, Naruto. Break asterisk. Medical jutsu was a powerful thing, but it could not do everything. It could not bring back the dead. If it could, Dan would still be alive. Her heart went out to the team before her. They had fought so hard, but even their team could not completely survive without a loss. Tsunade would not let this tragedy happen. She now knew more jutsu than she did before. Naruto's body had not been crushed to a pulp like Shizune's had been. He could still be saved. There was a jutsu that could bring him back. Kasho Tensei, one's own life reincarnation, developed by her one-time nemesis Chio of Sunagaku. Tsunade had spent much of the Second Shinobi War encountering all of Chio's poisons. The thought that it was solely due to Tsunade's skill in medical ninjutsu that let Konoha counter all of Chio's poisons, however, that was pure propaganda. It was true that Tsunade could counteract any poison with her skill, but she couldn't be on the battlefield to fix things personally. It had been a combination effort of Jiraiya and his fledgling spy network that had planted a mole in Tsuna. That was how they were so perfectly counted her poisons, and that was how years later Tsunade learned of the power of Kasho Tensei, one's own life reincarnation. I have a way to save him, Kakashi. A kinjutsu developed by Tsuna. I will die, but my life force will heal Naruto and bring him back. Needless to say, Team 7 was stunned, and grateful. She was thanked profusely by Sakura, but the other two were just as moved. Just tell Jiraiya that I love him and that I regret wasting so much time. Her thoughts were on Jiraiya, her teammate, and her love. How she wished she could be with him one more time. She gathered her chakra and focused herself. She completed the hand seals and began to speak out her last words, the name of the jutsu, when everything went dark. Sakura and Sasuke looked at Kakashi in stunned amazement. Why had he knocked out Tsunade? Did Madara somehow plant a genjutsu trigger? Their weary bodies protested the idea of continuing the fight as they readied themselves. Kakashi put up his hand and used the appropriate identification code. Ma, don't be mad. I copied her jutsu. Sasuke instantly processed the information. Kakashi was going to use Kasho Tensei, one's own life reincarnation. Why? Kakashi gave him an eye smile. Because I have passed on all that I know to you. Tsunade has not passed on all of her medical techniques. Her apprentice was killed by the Tsuchikage. If one of us is to die, it should be me. Sakura shook her head. Sensei, no. You are a better fighter. We are still at war with Kumogaku. And we will have to deal with Tsunade's treachery. We need you. No, you don't. I have full faith in you, assuming no more long dead legends spring to life, of course. Tsunade's medical techniques need to be passed on. Who knows, perhaps the Senju clan can be reborn. Her ability to appear young is not just appearance. While the jutsu is active, she is young. Sakura and Sasuke didn't know what to say. This was the man who had shaped them, turned them into the people they were today. He had molded them into the best shinobi they could possibly be. For once their masks of perfect shinobi control began to falter. Kakashi held up his hand. I have always wanted to serve my village, and I am content with this. Keep the village strong and make sure Naruto becomes the greatest Hokage of all time. Be his strong right and left hands. Make his dreams a reality. There was nothing more to be said. Kakashi flashed through the hand seals and the jutsu activated. He slowly fell to the ground, dead. The genius sensei of Konoha was no more. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.